Star Wars is directed by George Lucas. It tells the story of Luke Skywalker, who is a farm boy off the shores of Tatooine, but after a tragedy happens within his life, he joins Obi-Wan and the Rebellion to go up against the Empire. I remember getting the original trilogy on Christmas when I was a kid, and I rewatched all of these movies in a row so many times. I loved Star Wars. I loved playing some of the online games. I loved watching the movies and the Clone Wars show. I was a big Star Wars fan before Disney bought it and ruined Star Wars for all of us. But back then, it was peaceful times. I loved this franchise. And still to this day, the original movie holds up extremely well. The story of a young farm boy becoming the most integral character in all of cinema and becoming an important character in this entire franchise that will eventually defeat the Empire was something that was very impactful. The story was engaging throughout the entire film. The dialogue was great. The characters were memorable. The music by John Williams was fantastic. The visual effects still hold up very well due to the use of a lot of miniatures. And I absolutely loved the fight sequence by the end with all the TIE fighters trying to destroy the Death Star. And it was always awesome, my least favorite part. Before that, everything else about the film I was very much intrigued with. We started off with C-3PO and R2-D2 trying to escape this conflict between the Rebel and the Empire, which introduces us to Princess Leia and Darth Vader. That gives us an insight as to what the Rebellion's relationship with the Empire is like and why they're trying to go up against this maniacal force. Then we explore more of the characters of R2-D2 and C-3PO. We look through the opening through their eyes. It gives us a more compelling character with these two, has us understand them and their characteristics. And then we slowly ease into the main character of Luke Skywalker, as he is a down on his luck farm boy. And as I said before, a tragedy happens which sparks his ignition to go up against the Empire. But before that, we learn that he is down on his luck, but there's a few connections to the Rebellion that he does know of, but also he doesn't know of. He knows Obi-Wan as Ben Kenobi, as he's a more recluse character, but we know that throughout their interactions in this entire film, he knows Ben Kenobi, but more as like, not a friend, but someone that he just knows and comes across a few times. And the way they interact, it is like they've always known each other, and I really like that. It creates a different dynamic to the character of a fantasy movie or story. Seeing this master character for the first time and being so amazed for the first time and saying, "Is that you?" He just is like, "Oh, there you are. Good to see you again. Can I ask you something?" It's a nice little dynamic within this sequence I really like, and overall it makes these characters feel all the more real. Then when we get to the middle of the film where we meet Han Solo and Chewbacca and they try to escape the Empire in Tatooine and try and save Princess Leia, I really like that dynamic. I really like Han Solo and Chewbacca and how they were introduced. It is a slow build up to their coolness. We see how they interact first and how they carry themselves in conflicting situations. And then when it comes to getting their hands dirty, Han Solo just had to pull out the biggest gun move and best gun move ever in cinema, and just made him such a cool character. Harrison Ford does a fantastic job. He is sly, he is cunning, he carries himself very well and knows how to get himself out of tricky situations. And then once we get to the Death Star and we meet Princess Leia there, we get our trio finally coming together, and their banter as they try to escape the Death Star is really fun. I love the dynamic between these characters and their humor together, how they start to grow to hate each other but then care for one another once the chips are down. I really enjoyed all that stuff. The battle and fight sequences and the escape that they had to make here is really fun, and the conflict between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader here and how that comes to a head is really engaging, especially if you watched all the prequel stuff that came before. This leads to the death of Obi-Wan, which was actually pretty well handled, though personally I would have loved to have seen more conflict within Luke Skywalker apart from just a brief moment where he mourns the death of Obi-Wan. It is later well handled when Obi-Wan speaks to Luke Skywalker through the Force as he tries to destroy the Death Star. And if you saw the prequels also, how they got the plans is a lot more believable, and it makes the whole sequence feel a lot more rewarding as we saw what it took to get these plans. Which makes the final battle a whole lot more entertaining and engaging now from a story point of view. The galactic fight sequences, these space battles with the TIE fighters, is absolutely engaging, thrilling to watch. Darth Vader and James Earl Jones' performance throughout the entire film was so awesome, and as an antagonist he works so well. His first few sequences are scary and intimidating, and James Earl Jones just puts himself as the character so well, and the character was able to do a lot of cool things that establish himself as an imposing threat. Overall, Star Wars was just a fantastic film with very little wrong. There are a few bits of visual effects here that don't look as good today, but for the most part, this movie still holds up very well. It feels really grand and epic. The opening sequence is absolutely fantastic, and the opening shot especially was just brilliant. The cinematography here and the way we go to the small ship and then to this big one that's fighting against it, it's just fantastic, and I can't imagine this movie opening any other way. It is just brilliant cinematography and storytelling in a visual sense. And John Williams' score is absolutely fantastic. He amplifies the action so well. The Star Wars theme is so iconic. I can't say anything wrong about John Williams here. It deserves all the recognition it has gotten over the years. And while he has gone on to make better soundtracks within this franchise, still, where it started off was so good. And honestly, I'm so sad to see him go from Star Wars. Like, he made the main Skywalker saga as impactful as it did with its sweeping scores, with his battle sequences. Just everything about John Williams' stuff here is absolutely fantastic and iconic. I absolutely love Star Wars, and I'm gonna give it an A+. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and I will see you guys next time.